from a single man. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but it's become a bit more common to see that, I think. And that was actually the first time that I'd seen something like that happen. So that was in 2009, and then in 2010 you go on to Buried. So how much time difference was there between these two films for you? Because obviously, like, you just got your big break with A Single Man, and then you're then shooting another film with Ryan Reynolds in, and it's like it seems to be spaced in a couple of years. So how did that transition go?
Actually, it was like it was again being in the right place in the right time and being very lucky. And what happened is was also that like everyone in the film business in Spain knew the story, or especially in Barcelona, knew the story of what happened to me with A Single Man. And although the movie hadn't come out yet, everyone knew, oh, Tom Ford chose that guy from Barcelona to shoot his film. So suddenly, like, my status in Barcelona kind of raised, in a crazy way, and I was, people were talking about me and what happened, and suddenly it's also interesting, like how I was trying to get work and I was not getting much work, and suddenly, someone as far as Tom Ford has to come pick you up, and then suddenly work starts rushing towards you, and it was a bit it was a bit like that, no one everyone was like, oh, you're too young, oh, wait, or you don't have enough credits, and suddenly literally, a few months later, Tom Ford picks me up, and then suddenly it's like, oh, everyone wants to shoot with me right now, and it's so it was a bit like this. But also I was very lucky, because the person, the DP who I admire, Xavi, Xavi Jimenez, who was supposed to do Buried, he got a film as a director, and then they were actually like a few weeks away from shooting, maybe like 3 months away from shooting, and they didn't have a DP, so it's like, hey, what if we interview Edu? And I went there, and I had an amazing interview with them, the producer and the director, very, very talented, clever people, and I read the script and suddenly was like, what the heck, this is amazing. This is a script, I've never read anything like this, and I would not ever read a movie as contained as Buried. I will never, because it's in a coffin, it doesn't get more contained than that. So I was like, such a challenge, but also it was also sending me like those kind of shivers down my spine, like, of wow, this is a unique opportunity. It's a challenge, it's difficult, but there's also something that I really like about the script, the story, and the setup of having obviously Ryan Reynolds and a director as talented as Rodrigo Cortés, behind the camera as well. So the whole package was like, oh yeah, it's a movie that we shot again. I think it was 18 days.
Right.
Obviously it's in a coffin. It's on a set, so it's not the most complicated setup. But it was like a very fast movie. But it was like we were also very conscious that we were into something special. That we were something different and unique, and it will always be the movie in the coffin.
Yeah.
It was a movie in the coffin that
Yeah.
is like all happens in a coffin. So there was something very exciting and challenging about that movie, and that's how I got it, and there we went. So I think like I shot in the summer that movie, and then literally 2 months later A Single Man got released, so they hadn't seen A Single Man. It was like all word of mouth, and suddenly like, so basically I did 2 very good movies in span of 1 year.
That must have been so crazy to obviously, as you said, not getting much work, and then to go to that.
Exactly. And suddenly, truly, I was thinking, wow, making films, it's making good films is kind of easy, because I was like, I my first movie also, like the Honor de Caballería, went to Cannes I shot it when I was 23 and went, and it was a very low budget, a small movie, and went to Cannes. And it's a good movie, a very artistic, very, classic arty movie, but good. I'm very proud of it. It's very special. And it's like suddenly I done 4 movies, you know, and 3 of them were good. Were actually like I'm still, they're on my top movies I've done ever. And I thought it was a lot easier. I thought it was, oh, making movies is easy. And suddenly, life tells you that it's not that easy. Making a good film is very difficult. So I like, I kind of, I envy the time where I did 4 movies and 3 of them were good. It's like, for me now it's a lot more difficult. It's a lot, like I've done now, I think like 19 movies in total or something. And I only think, 7 of them are good. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, not bad still, but like, I still hope one day I will do one masterpiece. That's my whole aim, is to get one masterpiece done in my life. But then it's making movies is such a difficult path. It involves so many little details, so many people doing their job perfect or close to perfect, and also luck. There's a bit of luck always involved.
I am sure you are your harshest critic, though. I mean, there's 7 films. You said you've done 19 films. You say only 7 are good. I'm sure that is not true. But
No. It's around there. It's around there. And I think and they're, again, it's like they are good because I consider a good film when it is what it wanted to be, what it reaches the people that wanted to, and that's what I think. I think 7. Yeah, I haven't counted. But still, look, if I'm done, 7 is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with having done 7, good movies at 39. So not having to say that they are not amazing. None of them is amazing yet. None of them is like, but it's a good path. I just want to do more. I just want to have more chances. Because
sorry, just to touch back on Buried for the listeners who don't know, it is literally Ryan Reynolds in a coffin for 90 minutes. That is literally the film. So, like, I'm really interested. Like, was it actually filmed him in a coffin for night? Like, literally, that all the scenes were shot with him in a literal coffin. It wasn't done with any like set design that he would feel a bit more comfortable. He was literally in a coffin.
Yeah, it's all for real in a coffin. Obviously we had, I think, like 7 different coffins. Different sizes, different shapes, so we could play and do tricks with the camera movements. One of the coffins, for example, you could move in and out all the walls. So when we were doing a 360-degree shot, we'll be moving the walls as we as we go around. But they're walls. You're seeing the walls. It's not like they're not created in post or anything. No, like we were moving the walls as we were rotating with the camera, these kind of things, so it's very full of inventions and full of little, tricks, but it's very Hitchcockian, film. I love it for that as well. I think it's like, it's film at its essence, it's like a filmmaker telling a story, and it's surprising and thrilling, and a lot of different elements, so
I agree. Like I remember watching it years ago when before I even like really got into film or whatever, and I find it quite amazing that I'm talking to the cinematographer of that exact film. It's quite amazing. But so while like I'm sure it was difficult to shoot, especially because you're in a coffin. Did you have to like talk to Reynolds at all about where the lighting would be, like where the torch would be, and you had to visualize how this is going to be seen, so you have to tell him where's this going to go and how you want things. So is that what you had to do, almost coach him, so to speak?
Well, I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds is an amazing actor. I think we don't, especially back then. Actually, this was one of the reasons that he wanted to do this small movie in Spain. It was like because it was an acting roller coaster. It was like he wanted to prove to the world that he could, be a leading guy and be a good actor, you know.
Mhm.
Now obviously we all see him like that, you know,
Yeah.
because he has become that. But like at that point he had done one or two films as a comedy guy lead,
Mm.
and you know, and no one thought he was an amazing actor. And having the privilege to see him act, it was unbelievable, you know. He is a really skillful, you know, actor. He's a really, you know, one of those persons that can run a set, knows exactly. He's a super professional, but also very empathic guy. You know, one of those persons that everyone likes him on set. Everyone treats him with respect, but also we can all joke with him.
Mhm.
But also he goes down to down and dirty on the set, and that's, you know, I remember one of the last scenes, you know, like when we were throwing him sand and covering his face, who never complains, like more. I mean, like we'll do the rehearsals and we'll have a guy standing, you know, like with goggles, with a mask, and we were throwing shit at them, you know. And then, you know, he will clear, and then we'll bring Ryan Reynolds and throw the thing, but no goggles, nothing, just shit. And he would never complain. He was just like awesome to be working with him. And it was like, I also give him a lot of the credit for cinematography. He was actually, in regards of your question, it was like one of those actors that he is totally in tune with what is happening with the camera, with the sound, with the, you
Mhm.
know, with the lighting. And he would and I will tell him, look, what if you know, you are here, and what we see of you is a silhouette, and then at this line or whatever you think is, you know, we'll find the line with the director, with him, you do this and you change, and the lighting changes, you know. And he
Mhm.
would just nail it, take after take, you know, scene after scene. He would just like, in the right moment, he would just and he would just look the right amount to camera, not showing, but so that we could see his eye, you know, like with
Mhm.
the camera is behind you, you know, and there is like, it's a millimeter. If you turn too much, it's a bit cheesy. If you turn just, you know, if you don't turn
Mhm.
enough, we don't see your eye, you know. So he was just like so precise, so good at his job, that, you know, and such a nice fella to work with, you know, that it was
Mhm.
like, it was a joy, you know, one of those
Mhm.
actors that I've been very blown away with, you know. And
Mhm.
you know, there's a few. I've I had the privilege to work with a lot of good actors, but and Ryan is one of them. You know,
Mhm.
one of those that they give you, they leave a mark on you, as you know.
Mm.
Wow, this is this is great acting, and great, and being a great professional. This is also what I found is like, you know, the better the actors are, normally the most professional ones. You know,
Yeah.
and so it's been a journey,
Mm.
working with amazing people that I never thought I would be
Yeah,
working.
I definitely see it as one of Reynolds' most underrated performances because, like as you say, he's become a huge star now, and but I bet many people who are now like cinema or like film, they probably don't even know about Buried because it's obviously it
Exactly.
came out a few years ago, and he's gone on to do great things, Deadpool and things of
Yeah.
them nature, and he's done a gritty, almost one of the most different films and original films that I've ever seen, and it's crazy to think that I would say I don't. People who know film know about Buried, but how great he is in that film, I think it's probably his most underrated performance.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, I mean, the movie didn't do, you know, especially in America, didn't do it well. It went pretty well in the UK and in Europe,
Mm,
but in America, because also it talks about America, and it
mm,
doesn't, you know, make them look that good, you know.
mm-hmm.
And you know, and the ending is not as happy ending as people would like. In, you know,
Yeah.
some of the people, you know, so it didn't, the movie didn't go as well, you know, in terms of, you know, box office and people becoming a
Mm,
mainstream film, you know. And
mm,
also Ryan Reynolds at that point was not as successful. Maybe if that movie came out now, it would be a
mm,
lot more successful. I
mm,
agree, you know, it's a bit underrated, his performance. I think he's brilliant in it, and I think the movie, it is, you know, a very enjoyable ride. It's a
mm,
very fun movie to watch, and to, you
yeah.
know, and it's like every little turn, it's just
Mm,
like you are not. you are moving for, it's a lot more exciting and thrilling that people
Mm.
will think a movie in a coffin is. Let's put
Yeah,
it
if you like thrillers, that it's a perfect film to watch. It's very
that.
different to what you see, and it's fantastic. My final question on Buried: would you say, because this is just what I'm thinking, you'll know more than me, was it the hardest film you had to shoot, or have you gone on to other ones that are harder?
It was very hard.
Mm,
I always say that you lose hair in every movie.
mm,
I'm getting bolder and grayer, because it's like, every movie it's hard, and every movie it's a lot of people, a difficult process. And if it's easy, it's probably because the movie is not very good. It
mm,
has to be a bit hard, just
mm-hmm,
because of the amount of elements that can go wrong. There's
mm-hmm,
always something that goes wrong,
mm-hmm,
and on Buried, I did lose a lot of hair. We were shooting on 35.
mm,
My exposure most of the times was reading EV, which is like more than 3 stops under, so, and I was taking the risk. I was like,
mm,
I was not sleeping at night thinking, how is the rashes, how are the rashes going to come out tomorrow, how do they
mm,
look, and there was a couple of hiccups on the way, but it was like it's definitely a very hard movie to shoot,
mm,
I was also very exciting. It was
mm,
very, that, there's something about making films that it just really, if you love the medium, if you're passionate about cinema, there's something when you're doing something special, when you're doing something unique, there's a feeling that you get from
mm,
shooting, from watching it. That's like, wow, this might be something, that will make us all proud in the
mm,
future, and that's very exciting. And so there was also that feeling that will carry us,
mm-hmm.
and an amazing director like Rodrigo. It was also like a joy, to
Yeah.
work with. But hard. He knows what
Mm,
he's doing, and it's like he wants everyone to be at their top and deliver the best. So
mm-hmm,
it was really like a lot on our plate. But I think, but it's also one of the movies I'm most proud of because
mm.
of what we achieve at the end.
I
It's
agree.
a
Yeah,
combination. Like
yeah.
it like yeah, in Catalan we say qui no arrisca no pisca, like who doesn't challenge, who doesn't take risks,
Mm,
you don't get rewards, in a
mm-hmm,
way. So
mm-hmm.
it's a bit like this,
Yeah. It's a fantastic film, and if anybody listening has not seen it, definitely go and watch it. So now you're almost, so obviously Single Man comes out, Berry comes out, and you've almost established yourself